Here we go, lesson 8, powers of 10. If only I had superpowers. The powers of 10 can be written 3 different ways. You can either write it as a standard number, 100, or you can write it in an expanded form, 10 times 10, or you can write it in exponential form, 10 to the second power, or 10 squared. So as we can see in this chart, 10 with an exponent of 1 is 10 to the first power, or 10 times 1, which is 10. 10 with an exponent of 2 is 10 to the second power, or 10 times 10, which is 100. 10 with an exponent of 3 is 10 to the third power, 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1,000. 10 with an exponent of 4 is 10 to the fourth power, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, or 10,000. Notice the number of zeros match the exponent. So 10 to the fifth power be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 10 5 times, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros in our answer, 100,000. The rest of the lesson we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing whole numbers and decimals by the powers of 10. Knowing this information will make your life a whole lot better and easier. Okay, when you're multiplying times the power of 10, if it's a whole number, you're going to write the whole number, which is your first factor. Then you're going to add the amount of zeros from the second factor. There's 1. So you write the whole number, which is 74, and 1 0. So 74 times 10 is 740. The second, 74 times 100, there are 2 zeros. So you write 74 and 2 zeros, 7,400. 74 times 1,000, which is 3 zeros, 74, 0, 0, 0, 74,000. And 74 times 10,000, your first factor, 74, and 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 74 times 10,000 is 740,000. Now you have to be very careful if your first factor ends with a 0. If you multiply 20 times 10, now you have to count the number of zeros in both numbers, because you can't forget that 0. So you write 20, which is your first factor, and 1 0. So if you have 150 times 100, you would write 150 and count 2 zeros, and so that would be 15,000. So don't get confused if there's a 0 in the first factor. So let's try one more. 350 times 10 equals 350. Oops, 350. Sorry, with 1 0, 3,500. Multiplying decimals by the powers of 10 can be a little bit tricky, but if you remember that you're always going to be making the number bigger, then that will help you out. You're always making the number bigger. For instance, if you have 45 hundredths and you want to make this bigger, you're going to multiply times 10, which is a whole number. You will move your decimal one place to the right, which is going to be 4 and 5 tenths, because 4 units is bigger than 0 units. So 4 and 5 tenths is larger than 45 hundredths. So let's look at our problem. We're going to first write our decimal, 365 thousandths. And this one we're multiplying times 10. So we're going to move it one place to the right because there's 1 0 in the number 10. So you move this one place to the right and your decimal will be here. So the answer would be 3 and 65 hundredths. Again, we will write our decimal 365 thousandths. We have 2 zeros, so times 100, we're going to move our decimal 2 places. 1, 2. So our new decimal will be here, 36 and 5/10. In the next problem, 365 thousandths times 1,000. We write 365 thousandths. And we have 3 zeros, so we're going to move 1, 2, 3 decimal places. Put your decimal. So 365 thousandths times 1,000 is 1,000 times bigger. So it's 365 whole numbers. So 365 thousandths times 10,000, 365 thousandths times 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So we move 1, 2, 3, and sometimes we have to add a 0 and put our decimal. So 365 thousandths times 10,000 is going to be 3,650. Notice we're getting larger with our numbers. Okay, now we're going to be dividing whole numbers by the powers of 10. When you're dividing whole numbers by the powers of 10, anytime you're dividing, you're going to make a smaller number. So we start out, we write our whole number, 74, add a decimal point after the number. Move the decimal point to the left as many places as there are zeros. So we move one place to the left, one place, and so we go from 74 to 7.4 or 7 4/10. Maybe this would be easier to see if I showed it to you with long division. If you have 74 divided by 10. 10 can't go into 7, so you go 10. How many groups of 10 are in 74? And that would be 7. And you're going to have 70. Subtract. And you're going to have a remainder of 4. When we have a remainder of 4 and we don't want to have a remainder, we can add a decimal, just like we did here. We added a decimal. And we can add a 0 because we've learned that 74 and 0/10 is the same as 74. So now when we bring down our 0, we have 40. 10 goes into 40 4 times. When you're doing long division with a decimal, we bring the decimal straight up. So 4 times 10 is 40, and our answer is 7 4/10. But the easier, quicker way is just to move your decimal over. Okay, now let's do the rest of these and see if we understand a little better. 74 divided by 100. We would have 74, add your decimal. When you're dividing, you're going to move the decimal to the left. However many spaces, you move it however many spaces there are zeros. So there's 2 zeros, so we'll move it 1, 2 spaces, which gives us 0.74, which is 74 hundredths. 74 divided by 1,000 would be 74, and now we add the decimal, move it 1, 2, 3 places, which means we also need to add a 0. So we would have 0.074. And when we divide 74 by 10,000, we have 74. Add your decimal. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, so we move 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. Add your decimal and 1, 2 zeros. 74 10,000ths. If you're dividing decimals by the powers of 10, you already have a decimal in the place, so you don't have to worry about where to put it. But you do have to remember that you move your decimal to the left because you are making a smaller decimal. Okay, so you're going to make your number smaller, moving it to the left. All right, 365 thousandths divided by 10. We have 1 0 in the 10, so we're going to move our decimal one place to the left and add a 0. See where it says down here, you may have to add zeros to the left if you need to. So let's try 365 thousandths divided by 100. Dividing always makes a smaller number. Moving your decimal to the left makes the number smaller. 1, 2 decimal places, add 2 zeros, and your decimal. This would be 365 hundred thousandths. 10, 100,000, 10,000, 100 thousandths. So 365 thousandths. Moving it 1, 2, 3 decimal places to the left, be 1, 2, 3. Add your decimal and 1, 2, 3 zeros. 0. And 365 thousandths divided by 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 365 thousandths divided by 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the left. Add your decimal and 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Okay, I want you to try these. Notice that they are the same numbers or same factors, but they're opposite operations. One is multiplication, one is division. Remember, when you multiply, you're going to move your decimal to the right so that your number gets larger. So your decimal goes to the right. When you divide, you move your decimal to the left so that the number gets smaller. So you move your decimal to the left and you get a smaller number, and add zeros if you need to. Okay, so try these problems and then come back and I'll check them with you. Okay, 23 times 100. Write your first factor, 23. Count the zeros, 1, 2. Add 2 zeros and your comma, 2,300. 23 divided by 100. You write 23. Add a decimal at the end, and you're going to move to the left for division. 2 decimal places because there's 2 zeros. 1, 2, and your decimal should be here. You should have 0.23 for that answer. 57 times 1,000. Write 57 and then count 1, 2, 3 decimal places or 3 zeros. So you're going to move your decimal 1, 2, 3. So add 1, 2, 3 zeros. 57,000. 57 divided by 1,000, you would put 57, add a decimal, and then you're going to move it to the left 1, 2, 3 places. 1, 2, 3, add a decimal and a 0. So you should have written 0.057. Okay, I had to erase that so I could write the rest of it without confusing you. Okay, 6 and 43 hundredths times 100. Write your factor, 6 and 43 hundredths. We're multiplying, so we're going to move our decimal to the right, getting a bigger number. So we're going to move 1, 2 places to the right because there's 2 zeros in 100. So your answer is 643. 6 and 43 hundredths divided by 100. You're going to move your decimal to the left to make a smaller number. So we go 2 places to the left. 1, 2, add a decimal and a 0. So your answer is 0.0643. All right, the last one, 23 and 54 hundredths times 10,000. We're going to move our decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Add 2 zeros. And let's count this and see that should be 235,400 is your answer for that one. And then the last one, 23 and 54 hundredths divided by 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Add your decimal and 2 zeros. So your answer is 0.002354. So we have learned today that 10 can have lots of powers. It can be 10 by itself, or it can be 10 to the second power. It can be 10 to the third power. It can be 10 to the fourth power. It can be 10 to the fifth power and the sixth power and even the seventh power. And the power of 10 determines how many zeros it has behind it. So if it's 10 to the fourth power, it's going to have a 1 with 4 zeros. So I guess you could say that 10 really does have some superpowers after all, right? Okay, well, glad you learned everything there is to learn about the powers of 10. I will see you guys tomorrow.